Hello, and welcome to TE Design Lettering. Today we're going to cover one of the easiest parts of our embroidery, which is lettering. Now, your letter and your text can be created in two ways. One, you can use the fonts available on your software. Two, you can purchase and import individual fonts to create your desired text, names, and wording. For those who would like to have more flexibility, Southeast Sewing has a great product called Monogram Wizard. This will give you the flexibility to create more dynamic and unique fonts and monograms. First, we're going to start here with our layout and editing. And our functions that we will be using today will be our text, which is our text, and our monogram. We're going to use our text icon on your first toolbar, which will create your edit text letters, text attribute settings. You can fit a text path. You can release a text from path. You can transform text. You can clear your transformation. You have your TrueType Font attribute settings and your convert to outline objects. First, we're going to start with how to create a text. We're going to select our A, then our A again, and then what just happened is it opened up our toolbar, our third toolbar here. Here, we have 1 through 35, which is our factory letters for our embroidery software, our PE design software. And I'm going to go a little bit in depth about what these letters will do and the icons here. Here we have a text or a font type that comes in uppercase. It comes in a lowercase. This font set has the numbers. It has your characters such as your question mark, your and sign, your exclamation. Then it has an extra set of special characters. Now, if you notice, 1 through 10 have all of the same extra features, your uppercase, lowercase, numbers, exclamation, question mark, and your special characters. If we go down, we notice that we now have a set of fonts that only have an uppercase, it has a lowercase, it has your numbers, your and, question mark, exclamation, and those other characters. We no longer have those special characters which are found here. Let's go down a little further. Our font number 18 only comes in uppercase and uppercase. Font 22 comes in uppercase and lowercase only. If we continue down, we now have a font that comes in uppercase and numbers. So when you're going through your fonts, if you want to create all capital letters, you know that you have the ability to do it with all the fonts that have the capital A. You cannot create lowercase letters unless you have the lowercase icon within your font collection here. No lowercase within these at all. Uppercase and lowercase, no numbers, no special characters. So when you're creating all of your fonts, just be careful to look at that, because if you start a project, it really gets frustrating to try to figure out where your characters are. Now, we're going to go down to our TrueType fonts, which are the TT fonts. Notice that not all TrueType fonts, you may see a lot on my computer. That is because your TrueType fonts are located on your computer. These are not within your embroidery software. And not all TrueType fonts will work within your embroidery software. So let's go to one that I know will work, which is my Arial Black. Now with my Arial Black, I know that it's going to work within my software, and I can create any text that is within that Arial font. Now, in order for me to bring up the character list for a TrueType font, which is my TT here, I would click on my A, my text A, left click, and it brings up your Edit Text Letter box. Here I have all of my special characters. Here, my numbers. I have the uppercase letters. I have my lowercase letters. And I have all of those extra features that come within my Arial Black software. Let's click Cancel. Now, the difference between my TrueType font and my embroidery software fonts that are standard on my software is this. Under my TrueType font, it gives me the option to have an outline and a fill. Only on your TrueType fonts are you given the option to have an outline. If I go up to my factory fonts, I'll click those. Now watch what happens to this toolbar here. I'm going to click Font 1, and it removes the ability for me to add an outline or a zigzag or run stitch to my fonts. Now, let's see. When I create my fonts here, let's type in a word, PE Design. We now have our PE Design. We've typed in our text. We click OK. Now, in order for me to move my text, I'll have to go back to our Select Object, touch anywhere within the stitches of your design, and it gives you the cross mark. You can then move your text where you want. Center it just a little bit more. So I now have my PE Design. It is telling me I am using font 01, and I'm using it at 0.55 inches. I am using a lilac color with a satin stitch. Now I can go here, and I can change my color to a mint green. Click OK. It has now changed the color of my text. I can go from a satin stitch to a fill stitch. I do not recommend programmable fills for lettering in text. Click on a fill stitch, and it gives me a fill stitch for my lettering. Now, the only time I would use a fill stitch for lettering is if my letters are over 2.5 inches tall. The reason is if your letters get too big, you're using a satin stitch which makes one jump pass at a time. It can cause a puckering effect with your thread if you're digitizing a satin stitch on an object that is too big, such as letters. So I'm going to go back to my satin stitch because these letters are perfectly sized, and I know that there will be no puckering or snagging within these letters because of their size. Now, if I wanted to, I could go here and it would tell me how it would stitch out. Again, this is my realistic preview for my letters. Now, something is telling me, okay, I could use a little bit more space between some of my letters here. Click on your realistic preview again. And now we're going to cover some of our transformations that we have. And the way you can transform your text is here. Everything to do with your text you can pretty much do with two icons. The text icon here and your text here. So we're going to click on text. Now, if we decide to edit our letters, we would click edit, and it pulls back up the exact same screen that we typed in our original lettering in. So if I wanted to add PE Design 7, well, we're using 6.0 Click OK, and it has now added my 6.0. Well, I'm still not quite happy, so we're going to go to our text. And under text attribute settings, it pulls up another toolbar that is going to be great for editing. This toolbar is located on page 4 of your tutorial. Now, I could use my kerning, and the definitions for these words are on page 5. Your kerning is the resizing of your text, which means I can resize it a little bit or I can leave it the same. My vertical offset will offset the font from the center of the graph, which means it will move it up or down. Let's take this up to 15%, click apply, and it moved it up. Always remember your houses are your default settings. My kerning, I can take it up to 30, well, a little high. Do 24, click apply, and do you see it actually spaced out my design? Let's go back to our original setting, click apply. I can rotate the angle, which is the 17, click apply, and it rotated the letters at a 17-degree angle. Click my default, and it goes back. Click apply to apply your new settings. My character spacing, which will add space between these letters a little at a time. 4 or 5, click apply, and it added my space here. So now I know that I have enough space that when I stitch these out, they're not going to touch each other at all. Go back to my default setting. Your line spacing, let's see. Your line spacing really doesn't do much. I've played with it. It's one of those features that I truly don't understand, but it's there. And what it say I can do, go down to 87, click apply. You don't see a difference here. I can go up to 250%, click apply, and there still is no difference. So that's one of those tools that you can leave at your default setting and you will never go wrong. Now, I have the ability to align my text to one side, click apply, and it just moved it to the side. But if I had 2 rows, it would actually center it. Let's go back to center, click apply. Here, and I'll show you how to use your alignment again. Here I have my direction. Right now we're going from left to right. If I want it, I can go up and down, and it actually creates my font in an up and down design. Let's go back to side and click apply. And we're going to click close. Now I'm about to show you how to have your second level. We're going to do edit letters again, 6.0, hit enter. We're going to do tutorial. I think I spelled that right. We're going to click OK. Now, it has automatically centered my PE Design tutorial. Now, let's go up to text again, text attribute setting. The reason it has centered it is because I have my alignment setting for center. The default setting is here. If I click apply, I can move this over, and it automatically tells me PE Design 6.0 and my tutorial is here. If I do it here, click apply. Of course, it's going to move my font. And it does my PE Design 6.0 tutorial here. I can click my center, apply, and it does tend to jump all over the screen. You can just move it back wherever. Now we're back to our centered PE Design 6.0. Click close. Now I have exactly where I want it. It is a PE Design 6.0 tutorial And that's the way it's going to look when it's stitched out. There are spaces between my letters, and it's a perfect design. But if you want your design to be closer, again, you can go back to your text attribute setting. Now, here my character spacing is not at my default setting. I can click default, apply, and I close. And now everything is set at my factory setting, which still looks great. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to, let's see, we can do our transform our text. And what this gives you the ability to do is to transform the shape of the letters that you're working with. So let's find an arch and click OK. And it has now arched my letters. And if you notice, it added a new icon here, which is the percentage of my arching, which is at 50%. If I wanted a little less of an arch, I would go to a 10%, and it has a slight curve. Let's try a 20%, and it has more of a curve. You have the ability to create your text and your angles and your transformations according to your desired form. Let's see. Now, it goes from 10, 20, 30, it skips 40. Again, you have the ability to input the size or the shape that you want. There is a 45-degree angle. So once you've created your transformation of your text, you can then import your designs. You can still move this here, and you can import whatever design you wanted this to go around. Okay? Now, let's go to our TrueType Font. Let's clear. We're not going to save. Click our lettering again, our text again, and we're going to go to a TrueType Font with Arial Black. Now, what happened is it gave me the option of having my outline stitch, which is a zigzag, a run, a motif, or an EZ stitch. So we're going to type in the exact same words, PE Design 6.0. We're going to click OK. And at the bottom, it is showing you the progress of your TrueType font. And there we have it. Looks a little weird, so we're going to click on our TrueType font. And this is at a 0.55, so to show, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to enlarge it to a 2.0. No, it does not fit my toolbar, my graph. So let's see. Let's do 1.50. It's almost better. You know, I'll change my hoop size from a 7 by 5 to a 10 by 6. There we go. Now, here I have a zigzag outline with a mint green satin stone. I can go here again, and I'm pulling up my line thread colors, and I can find a color and change my outline to a lilac. So now I have my TrueType font, which is my TT in Arial Black. It's at 1.5. I have my zigzag outline and my satin fill. Realistic Preview shows me it will look like that when I stitch it out. Now, our attribute settings are going to be a little bit different for our TrueType fonts. We'll go to attribute, you must always have this highlighted. You must always remember that your 8 points need to be around whatever part of your design that you're editing. So we're going to go to text, Now, we can go to our text attribute setting, and here we can add a little space. Click Apply, and it's adding space here. Apply. Okay. Close. Now, let's go to our TrueType Font attribute setting. Here, cover that up. We have the ability to have it regular, italic, bold, or bold italic, as if it were a Word document, because your TrueType fonts are what is used in your Word and PDF files and Excel and all that. So these are on your computer. Again, you have the Western and the Greek form. So I can go bold italic and click OK. And again, it is processing my TrueType font transformation here. And it completes it when it reaches here. Now, it has given me the bold italic look for a TrueType embroidery font. If I click Preview, it is a little bit of a slant. Okay. Now, again, I can go back to my text attribute setting, TrueType font attribute setting, and let's say I want to change it to see if Greek will work on this one. And there, it's processing it again. Let's see. No, it kind of stays the same. Let's go up again. I can just go back to regular, click OK. Oh, I left it at Greek. And let's see how this one comes out. Okay. So now we have our setting. And guess what? Oh, Greek made it a little bit bigger because now it's not lining up within my graph. If I click Preview, there we have it. So let's go back again to our text. TrueType enter. Let's go back to, it's added Turkish. Western, click OK. And as it continues to process. Okay. Well, it didn't resize for some reason. 1.45. Excuse me. 440. There we go. Just a little maneuvering within it. Okay, so now we have it at 1.40. We have an Arial black, a zigzag with a satin stitch. Now, we can still go here, and we can transform our text again. But we can do something, let's do something weird. Let's do this one. And there you have your PE Design 6.0. It is at 45%. Let's do it at 30%. And it kind of reminds you of a backwards form of the Star Wars text. Well, let's see if we can change that. We can clear our transformation here, and it goes back to our original transformation. Let's transform our text. And we'll do this one. Click Apply. Ooh, now let's go back. Or you can go undo here, and it goes back to your font. So pretty much it's really simple. It's the text. You're going to either do your text attribute setting. You can transform to convert to an outline object. It's just an outline only. If you go to your realistic preview, there's nothing there. So basically what this is doing is it is showing you an outline of your design, and if you wanted, you can actually go in and manually input all of your stitches, but why would you when the computer will do it for you? Okay. Now, let's clear this again. And if you noticed on page 5, again, it gives you the definitions for your kerning, your vertical offset, and your character spacing. And now we're going to go into our monogramming. we'll go back to our text, which is our A, and we're going to go to monogramming. For everyone who has 7.0 and 8.0, you will notice that you have more monogram options than I do on this software. So for here, my monogramming is really limited. I have the diamond and the script. So I'm going to start off with the diamond. I'll click here, and it gives me my edit monogram lettering. And here it allows me to add my letters. Here I can select a decorative pattern, and I can click Select Pattern, and it gives me all of the options for the patterns that I can have on the side. Let's choose pattern number 9. Click Select. The initials will be Designs by Carco. I'll click OK. And it has just created the Designs by Carco. One moment, let me resize this so it looks better. Let's go to a 4x4 for this. Click here, center it. Now, it is telling me that it is at 0.79 here, and it is a satin stitch. So I want to enlarge this to at least a 1.20. Now, if I click my realistic preview, it shows me my pattern that I selected and my Designs by Carco. Now, normally your middle text, your middle letter here, monogram, is the last name. So it goes first, last, middle, initial. Now, if I wanted to edit that, I can go to Text, Edit Letters, and it brings up my Edit Monogram Letters. Let's say I want to change the pattern to a set of hearts here. I click OK. Notice it hasn't changed yet because I haven't finished my process. Click OK. Now I have my hearts on the side of my DBK. I can then go in here and change my letter color to a deep rose. Click OK. And if I wanted this larger, go here. And notice I am not dragging anything from the corners. I'm using all of my toolbars here. Click here. I can go to a 3.0. I can center it. Well, kind of. Too big. Let's resize that to a 2.50. Click Enter. There we go. And I'll do a preview. And I notice that these are a fill stitch, and my lettering is all in satin, and it still looks perfect. Click OK. And I now have a perfect monogram to put on anything I want. Now, I'm not comfortable with my diamond monogram. Again, I am not changing anything here. I'm going up to my icons. I'm changing it to a script, and it does everything for me. I now need to resize this so that it fits. I can change it to a 2.0. Oh, it didn't move. There we go. There we go. There's my size 2.0. I can change it from a satin stitch to a fill stitch. And there we have it. Everything is in a fill. Monogramming is really easy. It's really fun. You can be as creative as you want. And that's part of the wonderful software that Brother has created. It's very user-friendly. Now, we're going to the second part of creating your text. The second way of creating your text is to simply purchase your text. You can purchase them from Southeast Sewing. Dakota Collectibles has one. A lot of stores will sell individual font sets like the curls, the boingo, the fairy tales, and all those really, really cute ones that are popular. And the way that you do those are, once again, I'm going to resize my chart. We're going to do a 10 by 6. Is you import them. They do not have the boingo and the curls and all of those wonderful fonts that you can download onto your computer. These fonts have to be imported one by one individually. It does sound time-consuming, but it actually is a lot easier than you think. And once you get the hang of it, your ability to create text and letters will actually get faster and faster the more you practice and the more you do it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, Import from File, and here I have my folder, Boingo, and we're going to do, let's do something simple. Let's do Design. We're going to import a capital D. Once you import it, you have the ability to put it wherever. You can do Design, select Center, D, and as the same rules still apply with any design that you have, your design must remain within your parameters of your graph. Import again, E. Now, I have my uppercase letters and my lowercase letters. So we're going to import our E. You have the ability to create the spacing, the direction, and the style of your letters when you're importing them. Hold on. A few more letters and we'll be ready to go. Okay. And these are overlapping because it's importing to the center of the design. But all you do is when it pops in over your eye, you just merely move the one that has the points around it. Make sure you have your cross and just move it to your designated area. And you play with it until you get it to where you think it looks great. Now, here's the secret. I know that I can import another S here. I can import an S here, click cancel, or I can right click and duplicate the S that I have. Oh, sorry, that was the N. Put your 8 points around your S, right click, duplicate. It gives you another S, and you can slide it down. So, for instance, if you were doing a lot of letters that say, like for instance, C, I can duplicate S, slide that here, click on my E, wait till I see my cross, duplicate, slide this E down, right click, duplicate, and E again. That was a lot faster than me importing each letter, and the reason is I'm using these letters within this design. So if there's a duplicate letter, I can just right-click, duplicate, and import, and the letter is duplicated. So let's remove those. Okay. So now I have the word designs that I've just imported all the letters except for my duplicate S. Now, if I look at it here, there it is in satin stitch. So I want to make sure that it's going to stitch from my D, E, S all the way down to my other S. I can go here, and it gives me my stitch simulator, and it will show me how my letters are going to stitch out. So I want to know the order of my stitching. Go to Sew, Sewing Order and Color, and I click on my plus sign, and it tells me it's going to stitch the D. Notice when I click on the D, the red box starts circling. E, S, I, G, N, S. So it's going to stitch out in the order that I want it to. I can click cancel. Well, I'll show you something else. Say, for instance, you want it to make it fun and add more colors. I can change the color of that S to a gold. Click OK. I can change this one to, let's see, a purple or magenta. Change this one to screen. Now, the only downside to having all these colors is if you have a home embroidery machine, this is how many different threads you're going to have to change. The good thing to having a 6 needle or more is you can set all these colors up and let them stitch up themselves. So, I now have all of these wonderful colors. Click OK. Oh, it's going to show me the E only because it's highlighted. Now, I have just created the same exact text with and have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different colors. Okay. Now, click here. If I want it to be fun, even more fun, I can take my D here, my E here, move my S here, my I here. So with creating text this way, you have the ability to just be as creative as you want. And that's the fun and the beauty of having those individual letters that you can import in, you can change the size to, you can change, they're really great to have. And say you wanted to add a little special character here. So I can take my G, and here I can reverse it to go the other way, just so that it looks a little different. Click here, and it's going backwards. Let's do another one that people will notice. Let's do both S's. And if you want to, you can hit your control button, and it will highlight both of them. Flip them that way. Oh, sorry. Let's go back. Is that wrong? Here, we're going to rotate it. Here, we're going to rotate it. So when people see it, there you have your 2 backwards S's in your design. Again, you have the flexibility to transform and to make your text your own. Okay. Let's clear here. No, we're not going to say that. And if you look at the cover of your tutorial, the lettering, it was done, of course, by importing all of the letters and duplicating the ones that are duplicates or repeat letters. So let's go here, and we can import from file again. Let's import the letter Z. Now, when you purchase fonts from another company, if you notice, it doesn't give you the option of your third toolbar, which means you cannot edit someone else's work. You cannot change the type of stitches from a satin to a fill stitch. The only thing you have the ability to change is the size and also the color. So if I want to resize this design, I would go to Edit, Numerical Setting, Size, and I am still going to keep the density, but I'm going to take this up to 300%. I'll click Preview, and guess what? My layout and editing just told me that I can't enter a size bigger than 271%. I can go down to 2% to 271. I'll click OK. It puts the number there. My rule of thumb, excuse me, take it down 1 or 2 numbers. So we're going to take it down to 69. So we're going to do 269%. Click Preview. Click OK, and I'm doing this for effect. Now, we have this really big letter, and it is in a satin fill stitch. The reason for the rule of using a fill versus a satin stitch for larger letters is because of this right here. We click Realistic Preview. We now know that this letter here is going to create gaps when it stitches out here, and it's going to create horrible effects within your stitches. So let's go back here. There's going to be a lack of stitches here, even though we chose to keep our density. Satin stitches can only jump so far without creating gaps, snags, or puckering. If we had the ability, we could change this to a fill stitch, and then we would close those gaps. So let's undo that. Let's look at our letter. And for some reason, this still has a little pucker here. Who knows who did those? But we can resize it here. And let's go down to 80%. Always remember to keep your fill stitch. Click Preview. Now, did you notice that the gap's closed right there? Click OK. Now let's see, how does this look? Looks a little bit better, but there's still some issues here. This is not my letters. I bought these from somebody else. So let's try another one. Let's go to Open. Again, let's see, PE Design Tutorials, Lettering. Let's go to Curls. Here we have a Z in the curls. Do an A. Click Open. And it's in a 4x4. And if you look at this, it makes a beautiful A. Click OK. But we want to enlarge this. Change our hoop size to 5x7. Click OK. Edit. Numerical settings. Size. Keep density and fill. And let's go up to 250. Always click Preview, and it will tell you the max that you can go. Go down, click Preview, and click OK. Now, it's showing me a larger A, and if I click on it here, it is beautiful, but it's starting to have some distortions right in here, which means I've just extended those stitches too much. So let's go back to our original A, look at it again. Let's zoom in a little. And there are no distortions in the original size. Let's see if we can increase this numerical setting. Oh, sorry. Okay. See if we can increase that size. Let's do it at 150%. Keep fill density, preview. Click OK. Now, I only took this up 50% of the original size. It's resized beautifully with no distortions anywhere in the design, which means that when I get ready to stitch this out, it's still going to look as perfect as the original size that it was digitized in. So let's size it back down. Well, it's going to make me crazy. Okay. And if you want, we can see how many stitches. It's going to be 1,928 stitches. It's going to show me now how it's going to stitch out. And I know that when this design is done, that I can use this monogram, even though I've enlarged to the little, and it's still going to stitch out the proper way. So we close that. No, we're not going to change the size. Now, that is our lesson on lettering. Again, for lettering, we basically use two icons. We use our text icon, which gives you your edit text attribute settings, your transform text, your clear transformation, your TrueType Font setting, attribute setting. And then we use our text. We either use our text, which brings up our edit text letters. Click Cancel. It gives us the ability to choose our font types, be it a programmed font on our software or a TrueType font on our computer. Know the difference between a TrueType font and a brother font is a TrueType font will give you the ability to add an outline such as a zigzag, a run, or a motif or EV stitch, along with your satin or fill stitch. Whereas the brother standard fonts will only allow you to use your fill or your satin or your programmable fill No outlines can be used with the standard fonts. Also, remember that although you may add TrueType fonts to your computer, they will not always work inside of your brother's software. The software itself will decide which fonts it's compatible with. For larger letters, use a fill stitch or an applique. An applique will be covered in another lesson. Remember that you can transform your text based on your percentages and the shape that you wish to have. Now, what I'm going to cover is in your tutorial and actually not on the screen. What we're going to do is I'm going to cover your preparing for embroidery. This is what do I need to get started. You will need thread, scissors, needles, and hoops. Excuse me. This is the very basics to start your first embroidery project. The types of thread are your rayon, your polyester, and your metallic threads. Rayon threads are shinier than polyester. It accepts dyes with great color brilliance. However, it is also subject to fading and bleeding when exposed to light and laundering. Rayon works great for machine embroidered quilting. Your polyester threads. Your polyester colors are very similar to those of rayon. It has a beautiful shine, although not as shiny as rayon. It is color fast and great for items that receive constant washing and use. Metallic threads. Out of all threads, the metallic is the hardest to master. Metallic thread is great for accent and small projects. You should slow down the speed of your machine and lower the tension setting. This will help reduce your thread breaks. Do not get frustrated if your metallic thread is breaking. That is something that is almost standard with your metallic thread, which is why it makes it one of the hardest threads to embroider with. Rayon is great for those items such as tote bags that will not be laundered much or receive excessive light exposure. It is a great thread. It reflects the most light. It is shinier than any thread out there outside of metallic. Polyester threads are the threads that I use 99.9% of the time. And polyesters do not fade. They do not bleed. They hold their colors. They last great. And I've even bleached some items with polyester thread, and the thread still looks awesome. Now, there is a section about your stabilizers, which is probably the second most important part of your embroidery next to your threads. And the stabilizers are what you use as your undercoating to help stabilize your fabric so that your stitching has something to attach itself to. And let's just say this, you really can't do embroidery without stabilizers or your designs will not come out right. You will get more pulling, more puckering, and actually more iron-plated embroidery if you add too many stitches to your designs. So review the section or click on the link, the Florini Stabilizer Workbook, and it will give you a list of all of the stabilizers, your cutaway and the different weights, the tearaways and the different weights, your sticky, the different colors of stabilizer. You all have them here. Your water-soluble, which is what we use for freestanding lace. All of that is covered on the stabilizer section. So please feel free to review that on the Florini website, and it is located on page 6 of your tutorial. At this point, I would like to take any questions, and if you could just send them to me by IM, that would be great. Okay. I have one question, and it says, can I upload new fonts to the software? No, you can purchase already digitized fonts and create names and words, such as the Boingo fonts. However, you cannot purchase the fonts to add to the software. Brother has a software called Monogram Wizard, and it actually gives you the ability to create several, if not, I forgot how many font packs come with this, but you have the ability to create more fonts, more monograms within the software, and then save them as a PES file, and then import them into your design. It sounds tedious, but it can actually be done in a matter of minutes. So, Monogram Wizard is another option for adding more fonts without actually going to buy a font to import individually. Hold on, here comes another question. Let's see. Okay, Katie asked, can I buy TrueType fonts and use them in the software? Again, you can buy TrueType fonts and use them and add them to your computer. However, not all TrueType fonts are compatible with the embroidery software. Again, if you purchase the Monogram Wizard, these fonts are already digitized, so they're easier to import, and you can actually add your own little designs to your own monogram that you create in the Monogram Wizard. Are there any other questions? I guess not. Well, at this time, we will conclude our lesson on lettering, and our next class will cover Intro to Digitizing. So please look out and visit the website soon and download and view our Intro to Digitizing class. Thank you. Have a great day.